So today, this is the introduction to a different type of thing. Basically, something I'm gonna put on YouTube. It's a different type of content, and I have a couple people here who have some interesting takes on this question about who is the NBA or who is the NFL GOAT. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute my mic, right, and I'm gonna give y'all the floor. The Corey, you had some interesting takes that I disagree with, right? So you can go ahead. You got the floor. You tell me who is the GOAT in the NBA and the NFL, and you can tell me why.
All right, all right. So, if we talking about GOATs, we talking about greatest of all time. We talking about, not just achievements, but talent. Who who do you feel like in history you look back on and say, yeah, there is nobody like him. All right. Of course, I got an interest in someone you say. I think it's common sense. Other people don't. I say the NBA GOAT is none other than Wilt. Wilt. Why? I mean, if you got to exclude him from every category in order to make a quote unquote GOAT argument about two other people that don't come close to his achievements, are we really is that really fair? Is it fair because he was so great back in the time when the best champion in NBA history played? We and there was no other competition but the man with what 13, 18 rings. I lost count how many rings he got, but we don't even consider him the GOAT. So at the point is, NBA, we consider GOATs our favorites. Who is our favorite player? Is it LeBron or is it MJ? Is it Kyrie? Is it D Wade? Nah. If you ask me, the best player in the NBA history is Will Chamberlain, and you can let the numbers speak for himself, but you got to look hard because they try to scrub him. All right.
All right, I hear that. I hear that. Okay, so I'm not going to rebut right now. I know Tobias, maybe you want to have a rebuttal, but I'm not going to rebut right now. I don't know if you want to go into the Aaron Rodgers take, but if you can go ahead and rebuttal if you want, Tobias.
Let me hear what
I
you
mean,
got, Tony.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not gonna rebuttal him off rip. I'm just gonna go ahead and give my take right quick. So I hear him. There was a lot of wildness there, but that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's opinion is their opinion. Um, Personally, when it comes down to the GOAT debate, at least for football, it's extremely simple for me. For the NFL, it's like it's not hard for me when I think about it. Like when you got a guy like Tom Brady, a guy that's played almost at this point 20 plus years, a guy that has 7 NFL championship, a guy with five five Super Bowl MVPs, a guy with multiple MVPs, a guy that has been in more Super Bowls than it's ridiculous. So we've seen Tom Brady in the Super Bowl more times than a lot of people have seen. It's just not comparable to me. Like I know Jacory, he probably has the Aaron Rodgers take, the Aaron Rodgers belief, and people like to bring up the talent argument, but I like to believe that um talent isn't everything. You know, there's this thing called winning, and I believe when you won 7 chips, that shows a significant amount of dog in you. A guy like Tom Brady, and then you see his clutch stats, you see his performances, you see what he does when it's time in the playoffs. He shows up. The IQ is there. So for that, it was pretty simple for me. And then for the NBA conversation, I believe there's a lot more nuance to it. You know, because it's a lot closer. I feel like for there, just because Tom Brady's done so much in the NFL that it's the next closest person to him. I feel like isn't even really close. But when it comes to LeBron and like the NBA and stuff like that, uh, firstly, like my goat is LeBron. You know, but I feel like I understand people in the MJ argument. MJ, he's got 6 championships, and I use that same argument for Tom Brady in football. It's just that for me, the NBA is a lot different. You know, whereas the competitiveness of the team, the quality of players nowadays, it's a lot different than it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago, where there's a lot more variables and factors than how you go or how good you are as an individual player. And then when you look at LeBron's longevity, what he's done over such a long period of time, it's ridiculous to me. So that's why I have LeBron as my GOAT. And that's my take for now. I'll hit on more later.
All right, Ja'Cory, what's your and John? I don't know if you want to rebuttal with the Aaron Rodgers take, but well, Ja'Cory hasn't even given his Aaron Rodgers take. But why do you think Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT?
All right, ain't no thought about it. First of all, ain't not one thought. All right, Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT, and Toby, I will disrespectfully agree with you. Excuse me. All right.
All right.
So let me just dive into some stuff real quick. I'm just sick of hearing this. All right. So let me just dive into some stuff. We go talk about Tom Brady and how great he is, correct? Let's just talk about this. His clutch stats. Like, let's be real. In Super Bowls and his 7 rings, I believe, right? 7 rings he has, correct?
Correct.
And his 7 rings, how many of those Super Bowls games did he throw over 300 yards?
Do you know that?
Not many. But how many of those rings, playoff games, did he throw over 300 yards? Not many. Okay? I'm not, you know what? I can't knock him. You know why? Because he had great teams. He always had a great team. Coming into the league for the Patriots, the whole time in his career in the Patriots, the man had a top 10 defense. What?
Yeah,
Nine times.
Yeah,
9 times. He had a top 10 defense.
Okay.
And 5 of those times were top 5. Like, the man's help is ridiculous. He had Randy Moss for 3 years. He had Gronk for 11 years. He had Julian Edelman. I mean, that's his 3rd best receiver. Yes, he made him. But the other 2, okay. Let's talk about his running back help. James White, Kevin Folk, LeGarrette Blount. Like, these are y'all like, oh, who are they? Who are they? But for the Patriots, LeGarrette Blount, he had 3,000 yards in 3 years. That's 1,000 every year. You feel me?
But do you blame him for that? Like, if you get drafted to a good team, is that
But, okay. I hear you. I hear that's a great question. I knew it was coming. Do I blame him for that? No. But will I reward him for that? No. Like, you telling me all right, I'm not just going to say Aaron Rodgers, because I truly believe if Aaron Rodgers got drafted to the Patriots, he would have won more Super Bowls. I feel like if Patrick Mahomes, if what's his name? What's the cat who just won with the Rams?
Oh, Stafford?
Yeah, Matt Stafford could have won. I mean, like, that's where talent matters, okay? And, like, of course he has a dog in him, and I don't doubt that. He is a dog. He done dealt with, like, a couple of trash receivers, but with somehow the best defense, and I don't have any sympathy for that. But what we got to stop doing is, like, okay, because he was a 4th-round draft pick, and he wasn't supposed to be a starter, and he won and won and won. Like, are we giving the man the props for the chips? Are we giving Belichick the cop? Because honestly, he had Belichick. He had Romeo Cannell. Like, these are, like, things that Aaron Rodgers did not have. Who was his coach when he won the chip? Mike McCarthy? Mike McCarthy compared to Bill Belichick?
But can you name, so those first 3 championships, can you name receivers that the Patriots had?
During the first 3?
Yeah, could you name any receivers the Patriots had?
My man was a little young around that time. I like to believe he was a little young.
Okay, you're right. So he didn't have any notable receivers around the first 3, but he did have Kevin Folk, who was basically their go-to running back, one of the top running backs in the league when he came into the league.
But don't you think it's crazy? The first year he got Randy Moss, he set the NFL record for touchdowns. Like, just the first year he got really good receivers. He just
really good receivers.
I'd like to add a rebuttal to that too. Like, I just want to note, so, like, I've been looking at a few of the stats while Ja'Cory was talking, because I wasn't really originally planning to do an NFL GOAT debate. I was ready for that Michael Jordan LeBron debate.
Yeah, we get there. We'll get there.
But that's fine. That's fine. Because Ja'Cory said, how many Super Bowls did Tom Brady throw for over 300 yards in, right? As if he wasn't a big game player. Well, Tom Brady averages 303 yards a Super Bowl, all right? He averages 3 touchdowns a Super Bowl. He averages less than an interception per game in the Super Bowl. And he averages a passer rating of 97.7 in the Super Bowl. That's first thing, all right? Tom Brady played for the Patriots. I believe I haven't counted. I believe 17 years, 17 or
That's
18
correct.
years.
That's
All
correct.
right. He had a top 10 defense 3 of those years. All right.
That's not true.
For 10 of those years, 7th or lower. All right. All right. We like it. No, 15th or lower. I'm misreading. For 10 years, they ranked 15th or lower. With a lot of those years, them ranking somewhere between the 24th and 17th ranked defense. Are we following? Are we continuing on? All right. Tom Brady, he likes to say that Tom Brady got all these good players on his team. Well, what I would like to note is that none of these players won before coming to Brady. Remember Randy Moss? Randy Moss was a great receiver before coming to the Patriots. Never made it to the Super Bowl until he seen Tom Brady. Am I correct or am I not correct, Mr.
And they
Jesse?
both set
right,
the NFL record. They
right.
both
And
set
then
NFL records in the
right,
same.
Right?
absolutely. And
Right.
they did
And then
not win.
people like to point
So
out that
talent
Belichick
does
made
not
Brady. Did
matter.
Brady not just prove to us last year that with the Buccaneers, without Belichick,
Yeah,
he
he
can
won
win a
championship.
championship?
He won a 7
Yeah,
championship.
but
Well, go ahead, John.
I'll say to that, if you switch teams and put
Thank you.
Tom Brady back on the Patriots, would he have won a Super Bowl last year?
No. Now
So
let's
I
talk
mean, hey,
mean,
about.
look,
yeah,
Thank
he
you.
went to like a super talented team. So
Hey
if you
man,
put Bill Belichick on that team and give him somebody like Aaron Rodgers, I think they still would have won. So I
thank you.
think he was
no,
in this Super Bowl. I think he was a byproduct.
Thank
but
you.
this would be
Overall,
my only rebuttal to that. I'll tell you, Lila. So the Patriots this year went to the playoffs. They were a good team.
They
So
were
I don't
good
know.
Hey
You
team.
put
man,
Tom Brady. They were what? They won 10 games. Mac Jones. He's not. There was a game they won. They won a game with
the
Mac Jones
Belichick
having
effect.
like three passes. So like, if Mac Jones can have 3 passes, and I think he beat the Bills. If he can do that, that was a regular season game. If he can do that, I think Tom can come in and they can go a little further. But with
And
the
then
Buccaneers,
people remember the Buccaneers record before Tom Brady got there. People like to act
Oh,
like they didn't have
dude,
Chris Godwin, like they
yo,
didn't
but
have Mike Evans, like they didn't have all those guys before Brady got there. And they went 8-8 with Jameis Winston last time I checked. Am I correct? Right? Then Brady goes there, and it's not just a talent thing. That's the thing people forget about Brady. The people like to put the Patriots mentality all on Belichick. But what I'm trying to tell people is if you look at that Buccaneers team and you see what happened when Brady went there, them guys was locked in. They was on a championship reign from the second he got there. And that year
okay,
before Brady went there,
okay.
he was not a top 3 quarterback in the league. He was not playing like that. But he went in there and he changes the atmosphere of a locker room. He
Let me
gives
know when
people
you're done.
hope,
I
and
mean,
they won.
I believe that's easier to do when you have somebody that's not putting up 50 interceptions.
Hey
So
man,
like you can give a team hope if you got a QB that's throwing interceptions all day, every day. I mean, he may put up. I think he put up what 5,000 yards, but then he like set the record. He had like 50 interceptions. He went like
It was
50
30
50,
and
right?
30.
it
It was
was
30 and
30
30.
for 30.
Oh, 30. I'm sorry. Yeah, 30. So I think that's like that plays a big part in it. If so like for every touchdown he throws, he's gonna throw an interception, and it's kind of hard to win that way. As far as somebody like Tom Brady, the greatest QB of all time, it's easier to have a little hope and think that you can get some stuff done as opposed to having somebody like Jameis. He may go off one game, but then the next game he may have like 5 or 6 interceptions. So
But the reason why I put that Buccaneers run to me was so impressive, and I just put the Tom Brady effect is because what he had to go through. Like when you're a wild card team. Like they didn't have any home games besides the Super Bowl, which wasn't supposed to be a home game. It was supposed to be a neutral
Mm-hmm.
site. But they faced the Washington football team. Beat them, whatever. They go to the Saints at New Orleans, and the Saints destroyed them twice, killed them twice in the regular season, just embarrassed them. And then he goes in to New Orleans, and the postseason happens, and then everything changes, and the team wins that. And then you go at Green Bay, and the Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers thing. Tom Brady goes in, he wins that game. The Chiefs game, the Chiefs were injured, offensive line's injured. So that's kind of like maybe the Chiefs were healthy, maybe it'll be more competitive likely. But
be
the win,
careful, Jesse. Don't say that too loud. This cancel culture. They'll say, "Oh, you're a Tom Brady hater."
now, but I look like the at New Orleans game and the at Green Bay game. It's like Tom Brady left the AFC, who he's been dominating the AFC for almost 2 decades, and
I
in the very first year of going to the different conference, the two best quarterbacks for the last decade in the NFC, he goes into their house and he
and
beats
beats
them
them.
both.
Mm.
And
Wait,
I'm
are
just
you talking? Are you? I'm sorry. Are you talking about Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees?
Yes, sir.
like, Are those not?
No. We don't say Drew Brees when he's on his retirement run. Okay? No, that is not what he is allowed
But
to say
then
he
the
did.
Saints,
That is not what
blow
we
out.
allowed to say.
I mean,
That,
he
that,
had
Okay?
3 interceptions that game and 1 touchdown. So yeah,
We are not
that's
allowed
definitely
to
a
say
decline in
he
Drew
won that
Brees.
game.
it look like
Question
And
though,
then
how old is Drew Brees and how old
was
is
that
Tom
not?
Brady? I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah,
Can
it
somebody
Antonio
doesn't
remind me of their
Holmes.
matter.
ages?
It doesn't matter. What matters is, okay, some people age differently. Like you could ask, how old is who Andre Drummond or Dwight Howard, and how old is LeBron? Who's playing better? It doesn't matter. It's who's aging better.
Yes, but doesn't
And
that
obviously,
give more
Tom
credit
Brady
to
is
him as a
aging
player?
better than Drew Brees was. Drew Brees was freaking falling apart. Okay,
But when
and we
The
know
Saints were a
that,
good team, right? Weren't the Saints a good team that year?
huh?
The Saints were a good team, right?
The
They
Saints
Right?
were a
were.
Just
good
like
team,
Brady's
but
team,
not
right?
by the play of Drew Brees. His play has been depleting over the last 3 years up to that point.
So
Am I
okay.
wrong? Am I
So,
wrong?
so was that not impressive for Tampa Bay to go in and beat the Saints and the Packers? Was that not an impressive thing to go into? Because you could say anything about the Saints. You could say something, oh, Drew Brees, this and that. But then, okay, we
Okay.
beat,
Yeah, I
beat.
mean, it
Okay.
was
You
impressive.
know, you know what was more impressive? If you ask me how they beat them, the defense. The defense. It
But
was
tell,
the defense in the Packers game that won them that game. It was the defense in the Saints game that won them that game. So we could talk about how many yards he averaged in the Super Bowl, but he consistently get bailed out by his defense.
but there was a year he didn't get bailed out by his defense. He faced the Eagles. He set a playoff record for passing, 500 plus yards.
Are
And
you
didn't he
talking
lose
about
that game?
the time he
He
played for
did.
the Eagles
Yeah.
and he played the backup
So when
QB
he
and
didn't get
lost
bailed out, he
and
lost.
actually like got outplayed by the backup quarterback? That
He
Eagles
threw for
team, or
five.
am I thinking of the
He
last
threw
Eagles
for
team before that?
500 yards. Like he did. He
And
put
he
up
lost
30
that game, right?
because his
He did
defense.
lose.
My
So
But he
question
got
is
a
this:
you
I
stop.
want y'all to
you
listen to
kind of proving
yourselves.
his
I want y'all to
point.
listen
So
to like
when he doesn't get bailed out, he lose.
Amen.
time out. Like, can we listen to the people we're comparing Tom Brady to, and then listen to how you're judging Brady compared to how we would judge them? Because let's go ahead and let's start doing all these things with a guy like Drew Brees or a guy like who's your GOAT, Aaron Rodgers. Has Aaron Rodgers not played on a good Packers team? Did the Packers not have a good defense the past 3 years? Did he not have the best wide receiver
Yeah,
in the
Aaron
league
Rodgers
last
had
year?
a top 10 defense twice in his career.
Yes, and Tom Brady has
Twice.
had it three times. Good job.
But
No,
explain
he
these
has
last
had it
seasons.
6. I could count the years out for you.
But okay, explain these seasons, these 13 wins, number one seed seasons. What happens?
Excuse me?
The Aaron Rodgers number one seed, 13-3. It's happened in 2 or 3 years or whatever, right? And
Okay.
why? So what's happened with that?
Why he hasn't finished?
Yes.
Yeah, why didn't he go to at least one Super Bowl in those
He
three
has,
times?
and he won. He
In those
won the
three
Super
in those
Bowl.
3 times, those 13-3 seasons, the last 3 seasons, why hasn't he gotten to one Super Bowl? At least just one.
Okay,
Number one
I
seed.
can make up all the excuses I can for him. I could say he didn't have the coaching staff.
But he was 13-3.
I could say because his talent. Okay, I could say he didn't have the coaching staff. I could say he didn't have the defense. I could say his running back didn't play or got hurt halfway through the game against Tom Brady. You know, the All-Pro Aaron Jones. He got hurt halfway through the game. Do we forget that?
I believe that could
crickets.
explain 1 or 2 appearances, but it can't explain the 6 gap in championships between him and Aaron Rodgers. Like, you can't use teams and all of that
see,
to explain.
here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. If we talking about championships and that compares to GOAT, well, hell, Tom Brady not the GOAT. He don't got the most rings in the NFL.
Yeah, he
Like,
do.
let's stop it.
Yeah, he do. He's 7.
Yes, he do,
number 1.
motherfucker. Yes, he do. Yes, he
Todd Gurley's
do.
number 2, but he's number 1. He's got 7. No one has more than 5 besides him.
Okay.
Well, look.
My bad. I'm trying to take away the 2 he won in Houston. But
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
But okay. Anyway, what I'm about to get at is like, okay, so you keep telling me there's a 6 championship gap? Let's talk about the defense gap. Let's talk about the receiver gap. Do I gotta name the Packers' best receiver versus the Patriots' best receivers? And I'm not even gonna get into the receivers he had on the Buccaneers. I didn't even add those because he had an all-star cast. If you telling me how hard it was for Brady to go with a Pro Bowl team to the Super Bowl, then you're smoking. You're smoking some ganja. You need to stop it, okay? Because that team was loaded. And then they added Gronk and AB. There is no reason you could doubt that, man. Like, even going in, like, okay, that's a playoff team for sure. But I mean, okay, he did it. He had a tough road in the playoffs, and that's why I commend him. But of course, he had to hang his hat on defense to get there. Am I lying? No.
But
Okay.
okay,
Like I said with the receivers, he had Randy Moss, the best
uh-huh.
receiver of all time. He had Rob
Not
Gronkowski,
the
the
best
best
receiver of
tight
all
end of
time.
all time. He
Okay,
had
you can make
Julian
it this way.
Edelman. Okay. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. We got
Okay,
Devontae Adams,
he's a
Jordy
scrub.
Nelson,
Is
Randall
Devontae Adams a
Cobb. Can
scrub?
we
Jordy
stop
Nelson.
this argument? Can we stop the argument
But is
of
Devontae
health?
Adams a scrub or something? Yeah,
The
like you had Devontae Adams. Your tone made it
Was
sound like he
was
was a
was
scrub.
Randall Cobb a scrub in his heyday? Was Jordy Nelson a scrub in his heyday? I'm confused.
compared to Gronk and Randy Moss, are we
He had Randy
serious
Moss
here?
for 1
Are
year.
we
He had
serious?
Randy Moss for 1 year. He had
He had
Gronk
him
for
for
7
three.
years
He
and
had
half
him
of the
from 3
season most of
years.
those years.
3 seasons he had Randy Moss from 2007 to 2010. Let's try that one again. And
Look,
he got to the Super Bowl twice, remember? And lost it twice with him.
the crazy thing, look like, because you made it seem
We
like
talk
the players Aaron Rodgers played with are just scrubs, but the crazy thing is like Aaron Rodgers went to the Super Bowl in 2010-11, right? As a wild card,
2010, right?
won a Super
Right.
Bowl, good for him, right? And he ain't been to the Super Bowl since. He has, I don't know if he's either tied Donovan McNabb or maybe passed him, most NFC championship losses ever. I remember the 15-1. He had this 15-1 team that lost divisional round to the Giants. The Giants came and blew him out. I remember the Seahawks game when they were up 16-0 and blew that in about 3-4 minutes. I remember the 49ers. I'm not even going to say it's his fault because I know the 49ers ran the ball and that defense wasn't doing nothing that day. But the fact that he has all this talent and all of this ability, right? And it's been so many years since we last saw Aaron Rodgers. Like last time we saw Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl was what? You were like, what, 12, 11, 10 years old?
Right.
Okay, you're right. But you say Aaron Rodgers has all this talent and he has the inability to get to the Super Bowl. Versus Tom Brady does not have nearly the amount of talent. Okay, I wouldn't say nearly, but he does not have the same, and that's no argument. But he has more talent around him, and yet he makes it to the Super Bowl. So you kind of see, you're kind of helping me make my
You know what
point
this
here.
argument to
You
me
kind of
reminds me
need,
of? You know what
you
this sounds
kind of,
like?
you
But
kind of need that supporting cast to be great.
What makes that if? Because you do a lot of ifs. What makes Aaron Rodgers? Because we could do a bunch of ifs. If I was born into a rich family, I'd have more money. Like we could do a lot of ifs and ifs and ifs. But what from his career that you've seen? Because you can make right now. Really, to me, it's more like the argument is like Aaron Rodgers is a better QB than Tom Brady in terms of just talent. And you know what? You can make that case, and that makes sense. But greatness is what is presented in front of me. Like who is
Fact.
that is the actual stats, factual, all of that presented. And Tom
Okay,
is great
firstly,
than Aaron
don't
Rodgers.
be blinded. Don't be blinded by the shininess of a ring. Okay.
Why? It's
He's quote unquote great, but like I said, would he have been a great if he was drafted to the let's say if he started off in the Buccaneers? Would they look how they look now? Let's say he
That's a lot of
started off
ifs, bro.
in
It's a lot of ifs. It's a
let's say
lot of hypotheses we're making right now.
if
hypotheses.
If Derrick Rose didn't tear his ACL, probably a top 10 point guard, top 5 point guard. If this didn't happen, if that didn't happen, like a bunch of ifs, it didn't happen. And that's
Jesse, tell me, doesn't Aaron Rodgers kind of remind you of like the NFL versions of James Harden if he won that ring with Chris Paul?
Yeah, the NBA version, yeah.
It's like if James Harden won that one ring with
except for
Chris
James
Paul.
Harden, Aaron Rodgers got a ring.
Yeah,
but like,
I'm saying if he won that one ring with Chris Paul, would that make James Harden the GOAT? I'm just curious. Like that's kind of what you're arguing over here with Aaron
don't
Rodgers.
compare a champion to a non-champion. I'm just saying.
That's tough we can win that. But yo, like there's nothing you're presenting to me that's showing that Aaron, because you're going to tell me another if statement. Like, well, if Aaron Rodgers, what if Tom Brady was drafted here? If Kevin Garnett was drafted to the Spurs, Kevin Garnett I think Kevin Garnett probably a better power forward than Tim Duncan. I feel like if he was drafted to the Spurs, if Tracy McGrady didn't tear his freaking knees up, he could have been one of the greatest top 10, top 15. He had the talent for it, but it didn't happen because he got injured or he got drafted to the top.
So you're telling me there's nothing I'm presenting to you to make you believe that what I'm saying is factual. So Mike McCarthy, hold on, please. Okay. Just give me a second. Mike McCarthy is not is the same level of a coach as Bill Belichick. Am I correct? Just yes or no?
He's not. No.
Okay. Devontae Adams is the same level of receiver as Randy Moss. Is he not? Yes or
Randy,
no?
Randy Moss.
Huh?
Randy Moss is better. Historically
Okay,
better.
thank you. Okay. I'm continuing.
Okay.
Jordy Nelson, is he the same level of a receiver as Rob Gronkowski? And he's a tight end. Yes or no?
Nah, Jordan Nelson was good, but now he's not Rob. He's not going
Okay,
to.
thank you.
Okay.
I got one more
Okay.
question.
Keep going.
Rob Randall Cobb, is he as good as a receiver as Julian Edelman?
Okay. No.
Okay.
So,
Hold on.
keep going.
Now,
Okay. Go.
I would give you the 3 top running backs for the Patriots, but I got 5, and I'm not going to go down that list. But I give you the top 2 of the Packers because he only has 2 good running backs in his career with the Packers. He has Eddie Lacy and Aaron Jones. Okay, that's it. So we could talk about help all day. We could talk about help. I'm not saying else. I'm telling you, Tom Brady's teams were meant to get championships.
So
Okay.
with that, right? So with that is like if you were drafted to a good team, it's just like Tim Duncan is just not good. Is it Tim Duncan because he's just a system player? Like I get drafted to a good team. You know how many people get drafted to good teams? Magic Johnson got drafted to a great team. Is he just not what he should be? Is Magic Johnson?
Okay. So we're not going to compare football and basketball. Football, there's 11 people and 2 sides of a ball. Basketball is 5 people on the same side of both sides of the ball.
Well, I want you to tell me this. Because you keep doing this right now, you're doing the better argument. This all I'm hearing is the better argument. You're doing Aaron Rodgers is a better player in terms of just overall talent and a quarterback ability than Tom Brady. That's all I'm hearing. You ain't telling me why is Aaron Rodgers greater. Like, what in his career can you say Tom Brady? That's Tom Brady is just not close in that. When you compare their career,
if you want to hear greater, let's talk about his completion percentage. He has a better one than Tom Brady, who's been playing 5 years longer. Yes, 5 years longer than.
If only that completion percentage resulted in wins for him, right?
It kind of does. You see, he has a better record than Tom Brady, like as far as win-loss percentage. He does.
What does that matter?
What is that? Like, yeah,
no. Don't say what does that matter after you ask. You see how it compares to wins, don't it?
But
you just asked, and I told you, and now you hiding behind yourself.
But wins in the regular season, huh?
What's his postseason record? What is that? Tell me that. What is his
postseason? It's probably a losing record when you think about it.
It is a losing record. Since that run in 2010, it's a losing record.
Right.
But you acting like Aaron Rodgers had scrubs. You acting like Aaron Rodgers played for the Jaguars and he gets.
He did not have what Tom Brady have though.
He had a good team.
And we got to talk. You saying he played for the Jaguars? No, I don't expect the Jaguars to make the playoffs every year. But for a team like the Packers to make the playoffs every year, and we've seen how they did not invest into helping Aaron Rodgers. We've seen how many times he threatened to leave because they did not get him help. We've seen how they had to overpay him just to get him to stay. Let's talk about that, okay? So we cannot ignore the things around the championship. We can't ignore the Deflategate. We can't ignore the tampering. We can't ignore all the things to help Tom Brady get his championship. The coaches, the players, the defense. We cannot ignore that. That's what he has to stand on above Aaron Rodgers. Because if they're standing on the same platform, Aaron Rodgers will be looking over Tom Brady. And we all know this. But we're saying because he hasn't did it. And I don't get that debate. We talk about how he's the greatest of all time because he got to the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl scoring, 17 points? And I mean, yeah, that's been done before. But, like, come on now. Like, what are we talking about? He's the greatest quarterback of all time. That means there is no defense that should be able to stop him.
No, but that is,
and we've seen him been stopped before, several occasions.
Just because you're the greatest doesn't mean you have like. Now look, you said that, and I'm just kind of thinking. Obviously, he's a quarterback, but obviously he's like a human, so he's gonna have games that aren't good, just how Aaron Rodgers doesn't. But it's like if someone gets to the Super Bowl, which as a Houston fan and John, you a Cowboy fan, you understand how hard it is, right? And for someone to get to a Super Bowl 10 times. Do it 10 times in 2 different decades. He's 45, and what was he? This year he was in the divisional round. They were down 24 points. He came back. You look at that Falcons game. Did the Falcons sell? They did sell, but even with that, they were up. The Falcons were up 28-3, and Tom Brady went to work. You gonna look and tell me that all of that Tom Brady did that day, which is likely the greatest comeback in NFL history? Are you saying that Aaron Rodgers could just do that 28-3 thing?
Okay. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers could do it, but this is where I talk about when we talk about GOATs. We done seen other quarterbacks do stuff like that. We done seen Patrick Mahomes do that regularly. And I'm a Houston fan. You're a Houston fan. Toby's a Houston fan. He done seen it done against us.
Isn't
So are
28-3
we gonna
like the
sit here and
largest
talk
Super
about
Bowl
that
deficit
comeback makes him
in the history?
solidify the GOAT?
But
is that what you're telling me?
You know a different like the Texans. Like you see that game, you know the Texans. The Texans were not like that Falcons team. They were called the buzzsaw offense, and you could see in the beginning of the game, the Falcons go to work and they had a ton of talent. Julio Jones, superstar receiver. Matt Ryan was the MVP. Like